I think that Twitter, in particular, creates this culture of incentivizing conflict among people who should really be allies. And, you know, before Michael passed, like, he and I would talk about this on a regular basis. Like, we both hated the toxicity of Twitter. We hated the mob mentality. We both complained about cancel culture, although I'm going to be honest. There's a lot of fear in speaking out against cancel culture, because people will twist it in a way to make it appear as though you're an apologist for some of the horrendous things that people say. But no, cancel culture creates, first of all, it perpetuates fear. It creates this vigilante surveillance state where everyone's got their phone ready to catch someone in their worst moment. And, you know, I just wish everyone would just take a step back and think about how they would feel if someone captured them in their worst moment. And we're all humans, we have bad moments. Put that online. And then from here on out, that would be the way that people identify you. That's how you are represented. And you're no longer in charge of your own reputation. You're not in charge of your identity. You're not in charge of any of it. And to what end? I mean, what do you accomplish by doing that to random people? Oftentimes, you know, we're now seeing a lot of private citizens who are caught on camera, you know, in their worst moments, and they get shamed, they get fired, they lose their source of income, which means their family members also lose that source of income. And so does that change the system in any way?
That's right.
Does that create a system where the economic inequalities, you know, led by neoliberal ideology, does that change? And it doesn't. I mean, there's a reason why the Nancy Pelosi's of the world latch on to the identity politics and the accusations of racism, sexism, all of that. They don't actually want to do anything to make lives better for Black people in America or for women or for the LGBTQ community. But what they do love is getting into these judgmental mob mentality, like, movements regarding rhetoric, really, right? And so you'll see the Black Lives Matter murals, which are great. I'm not saying I'm against them. I think they're great. But then what? Are we going to do anything to change the system, right? And Michael was really one of the few people in this space that communicated that critique clearly, effectively, and in a way that luckily didn't lead to people attacking him and accusing him of being some sort of apologist, which is what, you know, you see online all the time. So I want to find a way to carry out that mission he had. I want to carry out what he wanted to accomplish. And, you know, I've been reflecting a lot on my own behavior and things that I've definitely taken the bait, and I'm ashamed of that, but at the same time, I want to learn from it and do better moving on.
When you say taking the bait, you taking the bait on the mob mentality provoking you, or taking part in it, or both?
I think taking part in it, you know, without really thinking about the consequences of what I was engaging in. So I have to sit down and have a conversation with, like, the production team for the main show, because I don't want to cover Karen's stories. I agree. I think they're wrong. And I think it's doing nothing to benefit anything or anyone in society. We have a huge problem with mental illness in this country, right? And so, again, we're judging, in a lot of cases, completely private individuals who are caught on a cell phone video doing something or saying something bad. And does it, like, do we feel better, like, ruining that person's life? Do we know their story? Are we sure they don't have a mental health issue? You know, it's part of the reason why I'm not really interested in talking about the Kanye story. He clearly is dealing with something, and, you know, all the incentives to talk about that story are there. The views are going to be there. The money associated with those views will be there. But have I done anything through that conversation to actually better society? No, of course not. And yeah, it feels wrong. And I'm just so proud of who Michael was. And I want to take something from that. I want to learn from that.
It's interesting. I heard someone say in our space, say that for all the complaints we have about cable news shifting their message to accommodate their advertisers, whether it's the pharmaceutical companies or healthcare companies not being for Medicare for all, or not really digging into the costs of war and the forces behind war, because, you know, there are advertisers associated with it. We in the independent space sometimes shift our message to what is actually ultimately a capitalist system that is pushing clicks by the clickbait, which is built off of fear and hate and impulsiveness. And whether it's Twitter, incentivizing, as you said, so well said, this type of response and these fights and these battles, when they could very easily, strategically and thoughtfully say, oh, I can figure out as a company, Twitter, these people aren't real. These folks are paid. It is not hard for them as a company on the back end to figure out why some messages are amplified based on bots and getting retweeted over and over by one person who owns 12 accounts or fake accounts or whatever it is. And suddenly that thing goes viral. And then a reporter picks up on it. And then the reporter is incentivized to cover it. And then it becomes a YouTube segment. And so it's this system, it's all based on another form of capitalism. You have cable news capitalism and you have independent media capitalism. And we have a decision as independent media hosts, as Michael did, to take part in that. You know, I think at the end of the day, you and I, and Michael knew this very well, could build a strong show that was funded and not take part in the stupid stuff, in the dum-dum,
right,
as he used to say. Thank you for watching and listening to the Nomiki Show. Make sure to click like and subscribe on YouTube and share with everybody on social media. And of course, if you're not a patron already, please join us on patreon.com/The Nomiki Show for as low as $5 a month. That money makes a huge difference. We don't have the corporate money coming in. We're not cable news that's raking in the dough from advertisers right now as everybody's sitting at home and watching. It is really you guys who are keeping us together. So please consider being a patron. And for those of you who have already, we are incredibly grateful to you.